Welcome into another episode of the Brand X Podcast, episode 115. I am one of your co-hosts, John, alongside me, Deuce.
Como esta, bitches?
Today, as we record, is May 4th, and this is our 7th year anniversary. 7 years ago today, 2016, we started this show. And I don't know if you noticed, but the entrance music that I just played was the opening that we did in the beginning.
Yeah, I did notice that because I picked it out.
You picked it out. Mm-hmm. All right. So here, before we get into anything right now, I've been doing a lot of listening to the old episodes, and I want to say one thing to you. I'm sorry. because if I'm going over, as I'm going over there, I'm like, my God, you're a dick.
It all became clear to you why I left?
Kind of, sort of. When I first started a podcast, the very first time I started, I guess when it was 2012, and I kept saying, sure you want a podcast? Oh, I don't want to do it. I don't do it. Sure you want a podcast? The first time I did, from when I very first started, the Brand X show was the one I wanted to do. I was really excited about it. So when you finally signed on for it and we started, I was like really pumped up. I wanted to make it like the best show, and I wanted to do, and I was trying all these crazy things, and I should have just sat back and enjoyed what we were doing. Mm-hmm. I don't know if it was, because I do think it helped us because I was trying new stuff, and it kind of gave us content. Remember when I bought that $600 mixer and I couldn't get it to work, and I was going to smash it against that pole?
Didn't you send that back?
I sold it to Uncle Raimi.
You sold it to another podcast, right?
I said, yeah, here, how much is it? I think he sent me like $150, and I was like, fine, keep it. Who cares? I'm sorry you got it. I like Uncle Randy. So I was going through the shows. I got a little quiz for you. Do you know the very first time you said, "Como esta, bitches," as an entry?
If I had to guess, it was probably a few episodes in, because I didn't know what the fuck I was doing the first couple of podcasts. I would say maybe the fourth or fifth.
Episode 31.
Really, that long?
Episode 31.
Well, we were doing it weekly then, though.
Okay.
So it took me 31 weeks to get comfortable.
And here it is. Welcome to another episode of the Brand X Podcast. I'm John, here with my co-host, Deuce. How's it going, Deuce?
Como esta, bitches?
There we go. Well, maybe that was going to answer my question, because I hear Diane's at the next desk over. So I was wondering if you would not be able to talk freely since she's there.
No, that don't stop me.
Oh, it doesn't stop you?
Yeah, she knows what she's gotten into.
Okay, just checking.
It's funny you say that because of the way I am. And a lot of people, they say, oh, yeah, I'll bet you're not like this at home. And no, I'm just the same.
So has anything changed in the past 7 years?
No.
Now, I know I'm not supposed to say this, but I'm going to anyhow. We have Diane in the studio. Now, Diane doesn't want to talk on mic, and I would never ask her to talk on mic. So if you hear a little giggling in the background, that's Diane. She came one other time to the studio.
And did not speak.
And I tried pushing. I tried putting the mic over there. I tried everything I could, and she did not.
Then we went to California on the Jason and Mindy podcast, and they loosened her up with wine, and she wouldn't shut up.
That's right.
That's true.
That's right. You did go on there.
Yes, you did.
Maybe a little.
I wonder if that show's still up.
Oh, no, it is.
It is?
Yeah, mate, Jason and Mindy have.
I have to go back and pull that.
You'd have to go back to about, 2017.
I didn't talk much, though.
All right, now you're going to talk off mic.
Yeah. You might as well just turn the mic on now.
I can't because we have too much stuff. I don't have enough for that mic. No, I know that, but you were over. So Diane, they went to California and they did a podcast. Diane, I was like, why is she on the mic on their show? But she couldn't be on the mic on our show.
Get her all donkeyed up on wine, that's all.
No, I didn't say much.
Yes, you did.
No, I didn't.
Oh, we're going to find out because I'm going to go pull the clips.
Yeah, just whatever. We went there in October of 2017, so just go to Jason and Mindy's catalog and you'll be able to find it.
Talk much.
Okay, so anyhow, Deuce, cheers for 7 years.
Cheers.
Got an old-fashioned here.
Diane's having her first old-fashioned.
I don't know if, that's a good one. That is good.
How is that old-fashioned?
It's good.
See, you know why?
Because
Because I make them with love.
Yeah. So I have another question because you're the memory of the show. So there was a time where we were doing a podcast. Sometimes we got into discussions.
The Going
arguments.
Nuclear episode?
Was that the one where you packed up and left?
No, I just packed up and shut up.
Oh, you packed up and shoved.
Yeah, I
Didn't say
just
anything.
sat here. Yeah.
You didn't say a
In
word.
sullen silence.
And it was Joe. Joe
Yeah,
was
it
here
was
with
the
us.
three of us, yeah.
Yeah. What did I do that pissed you off so bad?
Oh, I don't know.
You don't remember?
No.
Oh, shit. I was going to
I
apologize.
know. I remember the title, though, because I remember making the artwork. It's the Going Nuclear episode. It's like, episode 49 or something.
Whatever it is. Right.
Yeah,
Then-
I bought the podcast to a screeching halt. It just, yeah. I think you were just kept cutting me off like you do.
I try not to now. It's the truth. Episode 81 is when we were visited by Zip Tie from the planet Zigzag.
Wow, that long?
Yeah.
We were that many in?
Yeah, we were that many in. That was also the
I know
episode.
we did 100. I did 101.
I thought it was 102.
Well, you did that without me.
I did?
Yeah.
I don't remember. Our one back was 103. So I think 102 was, again, I'll have to go back and check.
Yeah, you brought Jimmy in.
Maybe I brought Jimmy in.
That's when my brother Michael died. And you brought Jimmy in to take, because I couldn't be here because, Mike died. So you brought in Jimmy.
What a
So
dick.
there was 102 episodes. I'm in the first 101, I think.
What an asshole I was.
Or something like that. Yeah. I know I missed one because you brought Jimmy in to take my place.
All right. And then a couple weeks, we took a couple off. One was because I was in the hospital.
Yeah. I got laryngitis, and that was 2 weeks that we missed. I still haven't got my voice back from the last bout. I'm still a little froggy.
And then we also, the one time you caught the ammonia.
The ammonia. And then when we were in California.
And then you were in California. So we
Various
haven't,
vacations, I think, too, like Carlisle. And,
yeah. So it's been and again, I go back and listen to it. And I'll tell you one thing about us. We certainly can't tell a short story. We go on and on and on, because I was going to try to pull clips about, when we were, this, we did that. And they were like 4 and 5 minute, 6 minute clips. Like the best one of the ones I thought was hysterical is we were talking about something, and Douche just comes in and says, about this gerbling. And he had basically researched it when we started. And then we got into the whole putting a gerbil and tube up your rear end. And
yeah,
then
what was that guy's name? Jerry Pellicoli. Yeah.
Jerry
Pellicoli?
Penicoli.
Yeah.
Penicoli.
Yeah, that poor guy. That rumor just got attributed to him, and it wasn't even.
It wasn't
true.
even him.
Yeah, it wasn't him. It was apparently it was supposed to be somebody in Utah or something, and somehow this poor bastard got stuck with that.
Yep, we got it shoved right up his ass.
The funniest thing I remember was when I made you get the yips.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, because we were talking about like vomiting or something.
Yes.
Or I don't understand. And I just like you were. And then you just got the yips, and you started and Joe was laughing.
I figured I thought I was going to throw up.
You couldn't finish a sentence.
I know.
You go, and I just
then-
kept pretending I was licking vomit, and you just kept.
I know. Oh, and then we had the Oreo cookie eating contest where we sat down and we both ate 10. I thought I ate more than you.
I thought you did too.
No, you had 10 and I had 10.
Did we just restrict it to 10?
No,
just to see.
No, what happened was, this is why I said because when we first started, I didn't explain the rules to you. You were only allowed to use one cookie at a time. You were dunking 2 cookies and shoving them in there 2 at a time.
Yeah.
And then you got the chipmunk cheeks.
Mm-hmm.
And then you had to slow down a little bit. And then you went 1 for 1. And then you made it to 10 too.
Mm-hmm.
But that record still stands. 10 Oreo cookies in 1 minute. So
Yeah, it was an Oreo challenge or something.
Mm-hmm.
Pre-TikTok.
it was
There
it
was,
was pre-TikTok.
yeah, it was an internet-based challenge. Because then you had the cinnamon challenge, which is putting people in the hospital, and
That's right.
people were doing that.
So here's a question I have for you, because I do 3 podcasts. I do this, I do the Boomer Bunker with Bob, and then I do Rubberneckers with Jody. So I look at this podcast, and I want to keep this, I think, as a true podcast. So in other words, the other 2 we live stream, and then I take them and I clean them up and I make them and I put them out as a podcast all cleaned up. This podcast here, it comes out pristine. Like, in other words, we make a mistake or whatever, I cut it out, or I leave it in, or I move it around, or sometimes I can do whatever.
Sometimes the mistakes are hilarious.
Yes, that is true too. But we have a fan base, and they want more. Like, in other words, they want to be able to listen in and like comment as we talk. And I'm not sure if we want to do that. Also,
You mean you're not sure if I want to do that? Is what you mean?
no, me too. Because I think, like I said, I just want this to be a show that we do.
Yeah. Well, I was never comfortable when we were on camera.
So
Because
audio is okay.
I always felt when we were doing that, I always felt inhibited.
So how would you feel with just like audio? Like if audio went out?
I mean, I guess that's I don't know. I don't know.
I think that's a no. What do you? That's a no.
Do my Jay Leonard voice. Yeah. I don't know. You could try it, but yeah, I kind of like this.
I do too.
I liked when we went to Sikansi's.
I
That
like
was a
too.
fucking blast.
That
you
was
know,
fun.
But
And there was good food.
and then we got tightwad. The tightwad manager was like,
No, sorry, can't do that.
yeah, he must have been a new manager because it was okay with the previous manager. That was a weird. thing.
They're coming out with another mixer like this that's only a 2 mic mixer. It's smaller, and I was thinking of just getting and it comes. You can get a backpack, 2 mic stands, 2 microphones in this thing here, and we could do everything right from here. We could record it anywhere we wanted to go.
Right.
We could go to and to be honest with you, it would take 5 minutes to set it up.
Could do it in my backyard.
Could do it in your backyard.
Yeah.
We could do
When
it
the
in your
weather gets nicer, if we ever get warm weather.
Right.
I was on vacation last week, and just like my father, leave it to me to take a week off, and it rains every goddamn day. So
I know, man. It did.
I cut the grass on Wednesday, and then we got like a week of rain. I cut the grass this morning, and it looked like I never even touched the grass because it just, it's cold up here. It's perfect grass growing weather.
Yep.
It's cold and it's wet. My fucking lawn looks like Scotland. It's fucking green and lush.
Yeah, and
Come July, it'll look like it'll look like the deserts of Spain.
Right. So I bought another iPhone.
Oh yeah.
Right. And the reason I say that is because it fell. And I will get back to. But so here's this. So I bought the newest iPhone, the Max, and I had to get a case for it. So I said, "Oh, you know what? I'll get the case that it will double as a wallet, so I don't have to carry a wallet anymore." And now I have this monstrosity that is ridiculous.
That is a big ass phone.
It is a boomer. It's like a boomer phone wallet.
I got the mini.
Did you?
Yeah.
Well, I like it big because, like, sometimes
Yeah,
I
that's
watch.
what she said.
I like it big. And now when it falls over, it sounds like someone fell in the house. Like the house vibrates when the damn
Thud.
thing. It's got weight like a thud to it. So I got to get another.
I was. This is a 13, I think. Yeah, and they bought the mini out, and I was glad because I would go back to a flip phone. Because they were making them smaller and smaller. And it's like that meme you see on Facebook. They show the evolution of cell phones, and it got smaller and smaller. And then there's a marker that says, you are able to stream porn. And then the screen started to get bigger and bigger and bigger again. But the problem is, in the wintertime, there's no issue because you have a jacket, you can slip it in a pocket. Women have pocketbooks or handbags.
correct.
But now I'm walking around, I just got a T-shirt and jeans on. That would not fit in my pants, so I'd have to walk around with it in my hand, and that brings up issues. It could get stolen off you. You could drop it, This I can put in my pocket and move about freely. It's no problem.
So every shirt I have has to have a pocket. I have to have I call it my boomer pocket. My boomer pocket has my wallet, my keys, and my phone in it. That's where, because now when I put my wallet in my pants or everything in my pants, it starts to fall down. And I am not wearing suspenders like my father used to do.
Did you ever have a belt?
Yeah, of course. But the thing is, the way I'm built, like a weeble, if I put the belt, when I still cinch it still drags the pants down.
Okay.
So that's why I put everything up in
Genghis used to say we would see guys that would have like a belt and suspenders on, and Genghis like, there's no way you're getting the pants off of that guy, huh?
No.
Because he thought it was ridiculous. Like, if you have the suspenders, you don't need a belt. Yeah, they're going to do it all. Your shoulders are supporting the pants.
My father wore suspenders probably from the time he was 40.
Well, that picture I took of you on the dock, he's wearing the suspenders, and
He would wear these
you're in
suspenders.
Jamingo gear.
Right. Same thing. Pocket T-shirt.
Jeans, sneakers.
Right. He would wear those suspenders. And I remember one time we were doing something, he took his shirt off and he had tan lines from the suspender. He never went it without a shirt.
Wow.
But the sun was so strong that it went through the shirt and tanned him, and he still had I'm like, oh my God, you have tan lines where your suspenders are.
Are you sure he just didn't pull the shirt off but kept the suspenders on?
No.
It just went right through the shirt?
Please, I hope not. Yeah, it was when he said it
That's
went right
a great
through the
look.
shirt.
I mean,
No, such a hillbilly look. Suspenders, no shirt.
sand shirt,
Oh,
straw hat,
oh my God. Hear the banjo music in the background.
toothpick hanging out.
No.
One
Yeah.
can only hope.
Now, I did, when I was working in the elevator business, because you were always putting tools in your pocket, I did go to the suspenders.
Hey, Dad, we have a problem.
Hold on there, son. I'll be right over there and we'll get to fixing it. But, yeah, so, and he, like I said, he wore suspenders most of his life. And I didn't. Well, the other thing, too, is remember he went with a toupee. He got a toupee.
Well, I knew, you're not fooling anybody.
No.
I have to say, though, now 40 years later, toupee technology has progressed, and some of them, I guess it depends on how much you're trying to cover up.
Right.
But you could tell your dad was wearing a toupee, but he was trapped by the technology of his time. So
Correct.
It's not like, because I think I know your dad well enough that he would have spent all the money on the planet to convince people that was his real hair.
I'll never forget one time when my mom and dad split up. He was dating somebody, and it was a while before she found out that he had a toupee on.
Mm-hmm.
I think you got to address that when you first start dating.
Yeah, listen,
Listen, I really don't like the bald look. And
I remember you telling a story. I think you were telling it on either Hate the Wait or maybe with Jessica on Off in the Weeds.
Right.
And you were telling the story about your dad was water skiing and he fell off and he didn't arise until he made sure that his toop was in place, and you guys were all on the boat or something. Like, what the hell happened? Where's he at? And then he came up from under the water.
So no, so what happened was, if he didn't have his toupee on, he always had a hat on.
Okay.
All right. So we were going water skiing, and he had this hat on, and it's like the hat. It has the brim all the way around it, and it's square on the top.
Oh, like a boonie hat?
Like a boonie hat.
Okay.
So he had that hat on. So he's gonna go water skiing. So what he does is he goes in and he takes bobbers, these big giant bobbers, and he puts 3 of them on his hat in case he loses his hat.
And you will.
So he pulls this thing down tight. He goes, go. So we take off, and he's skiing, water skiing. All of a sudden, he wipes out. Whoosh, off he goes. So I'm like, uh-oh, there he goes. So I start turning around. So he gets up, and the skis are floating away, and he starts swimming. I said, what's he swimming to shore? He swam to get his hat. He ran over, got his hat, and pulled his hat on, and then swam for the skis.
Well, he's got priorities.
Yeah, it's like where I might go sans hat now.
Mm-hmm.
I had my daughter shave my head, like, I don't know.
A couple times.
Yes, I've done it a couple times. I don't think it looks bad, but everybody else looks at me and goes,
I think people respect you more if you go with it.
With
I really do. If you're going gray or if you're going bald, I think you should just embrace. Of course, that's easy to say.
men can do that.
Well, it's easier for me to say because I'm thinning out in front and in the front. My forehead's getting larger.
Right.
But I'm not hiding it either.
Right. So if I take the hat off.
It's easier to say this because I'm in my 50s. So, but I guess if you go bald at a real young age,
Yeah.
I guess it could be devastating.
He was like 25.
Yeah. I had a friend in high school. He, remember when guys were getting perms? It was like a thing in the late 70s, early 80s.
Yes. It was, yes.
So
all
a guy
70s.
I went to high school with, we didn't know that he was going bald at the time, that his forehead was getting larger because he was doing the
pull it
part
over.
down the middle, feather.
Right.
Well, he went and got a perm.
Oh, boy.
And then his hair stood straight up. And he had like miles and miles of landscape up there on his forehead. And and then the secret was out. And then, of course, everybody busted his balls.
Of course.
So I can see where, like, if you're a young guy and that happens to you, you might try to cloak that.
Yeah.
But I do believe if you just go with it, I think people respect you more instead of doing the bad comb over,
Right.
or the toupee that's so bad it looks like all you need is a chin strap.
Yes.
It just looks like it's holding it down.
Well, first of all, I'm not that, my dad, when he would go, he was like a chick. He was like a high maintenance chick. He would take forever to get ready because he would have to wash it. It would look like a drowned rat. Then he would have to put it on a styrofoam head and he would have to blow dry it. And then he would get everything dry, and then he would have to put this double-sided tape on, and then he had to position it like, oh, no, move it a little to the left, up, and he would put it on, and then he would have to style it, and then he would have to like look in the back, like he'd have mirrors so he could look in the back so he could make it where you didn't
symmetrical.
See the so you didn't see the line. Like he had to comb it in so there wasn't a line around there.
We had a customer in my store in Runnymede where he used to come in and visit, and he was a nice guy. And his nickname wound up becoming Mr. Softy. And the reason for that was the guy was tall. I mean, like really tall. He was like I'm not kidding. He was probably about 6'5", easily 6'5". So you really can't, if someone's that tall, you're not necessarily going to see the top of his head if you're standing behind them.
Correct.
Well, he got out of his car, and he dropped his keys in the parking lot.
Oh, no.
And he bent over to pick the keys up. And me and the girl that was working for me at the time, we were both like, oh! And he basically had a turban wrap. Like, did you ever see Mr. Softy? Like,
oh, my God. So
like it's going around and around. He was so tall, we never knew it. But when he bent over to pick his keys, he actually like grew his hair so long
that he could swirl it
that
around.
He was swirling the hair around the top of his head like a swami. And God knows how many cans of hairspray he was using to keep that planted down. And we never knew it until he dropped his keys. He never knew we were calling him Mr. Softy. But he would roll along. Here comes Mr. Softy. And we would have his cigarettes waiting on the counter for him. Like, because as you know, in my store was like Cheers.
Yes.
I was like a bartender. I had your smokes waiting for you. I was punching your lottery tickets out. I was there to keep you moving, man. And I was like, we aim to please.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, so for me, I went bald the Friar Tuck way. Mm-hmm. Like I got the spot on the back of my head.
We got the video.
And it got, well, the day.
Well, not the video. I have to clarify. We went to the canyon.
Mm-hmm.
It was me, Don.
Oh, yeah.
You, the hunting trip. And you and Ray and Ronnie foolishly thought it was easier to like blaze straight up the trail than or straight up the side of the mountain than to take the trail that goes zigzagging back and forth.
Correct.
Don and I were smart and we took the trail and we had the camera. So Don was shooting the camera of you coming up and you had no idea
I was exhausted.
how big your bald spot was in the back. So now we're watching the video later on, and John goes,
I walk to
"Is that me?"
I get to the top, and there's a wooden fence, like a cow fence.
And you're hyperventilating.
Yeah, I put my arms over the fence. I drop my head over the side, and he's filming. So we're watching it, and I'm looking at it, and when I look over, and there's this big bald spot, I go, I was
you were aghast.
So then another time I remember I get into I'm in the elevator business, and we're working at Drexel University, and I'm waiting for the elevator, and they've got a camera that faces, that's showing everybody going in the elevator. So I'm sitting there, and I'm looking, and there's like 5 or 6 people in the lobby, and I'm like, who's the bald guy in there? And I move my head. Oh my God, that's me. So, yeah.
I got to use elevator technology at work, and I looked like the fucking genius. You know.
Oh, you did? What'd you do?
Well, because I know you and all your elevator stories and everything. So there's this one particular elevator in work where I work. They changed the air pressure in the buildings a lot. So you can have you'll shut a fire door and it might slam shut slam shut with the force of 1,000 tons, or it might just go, and it's just like it won't shut.
It won't
at all.
shut, right?
So thanks to John, I learned that if there are center pull elevator doors, that's the best way. But where I work, they're too fucking cheap, even though it's a multi-billion-dollar company and they use side pull doors.
Side slide, yeah.
Side slide. And so it comes all the way from the left or all the way from the right and goes all the way across. So that the elevator was getting stuck and the doors wouldn't work and everything. So I was sitting on there with engineers, where I work. They're like, we don't know what the problem is. I'll tell you what the problem is. This place is too cheap to get fucking center pulled doors. You better go on another floor and shut a door somewhere because there's a door open and it's affecting the draft here. And this elevator ain't taking us anywhere. And they're like looking at me. How do you know that? I said, I'm a genius. So later on, they went and they looked high and low and they found the door that wasn't shut sufficiently, which was offsetting that pressure. And they came back and said, I don't know how you do it, but you were absolutely right. We were on the 84 elevation, and God damn it, if there wasn't a door not fully closed.
Well, yeah, because I remember, as you were working on an elevator, you would sit there and you would go and the car wouldn't run, and you'd go up into the machine room and it would say the door circuit's not made. So you go back down and you'd start doing it. You go from floor to floor, and you'd sit there and you'd listen. You jiggle a door, nothing. You go down the steps, jiggle a door, and then you get to the one where the bad lock was, you jiggle a door, and all of a sudden the elevator would go, start running. You're like, got it. So then it would come up, and then you adjust the lock, and then you would be done with it.
Yeah. I'm sure I could have given you credit, but I would rather walk around and let them think I'm an eccentric millionaire than I just do this for. Yeah, I'm just walking around, looking around. This is what I do.
Oh my God. That thing about air pressure, and it would always happen in the wintertime when everybody would turn on the heaters, and then the buildings would get windy, and then it would have like automatic doors would open, and it would all be the lobby. And they'd say, the car's stuck in the lobby. I'd walk in, and as you'd walk in, everything would be pushing against you, the back of you, and you'd walk over, and you'd go to the door, you'd go shake the door, and the car would take off. And I said, okay. So then you'd run over, you'd run it up, get in there, and you tighten up with the door. They have either on the side slide, they have springs, and on the center, they have a cable that goes around this. The only thing it's like when you pull a lawnmower, you know how it retracts?
Oh, like
it's called a spirator. Yeah, okay. It's called a spirator. And then you would tighten up the tension on that.
A spirator.
That's what it was called.
Yeah. So, tell me that's not like a 1950s space age fucking type of name. When they patented that, what do we call this thing? God forbid they call it like the Jenkins, the guy that invented it. No, it's the space age. We got to make it sound future. We'll call it the spirator.
Absolutely. So
it's all about marketing.
I'm telling you. I always, I always get ideas for different podcasts. And the one podcast I would love to be able to do is it would be a storytelling podcast about me with the stuff that would happen to me in the elevator business. And what it would almost be like a play.
Oh, act one?
Act one. Someone would call. You'd have it where, hello, John. We got elevator number 4 stuck on the 15th floor. All right, I'm on it. And then you go there and you have like sound effects and you just make it almost like an audio drama.
Right.
I would love to be able to do that, but that takes a lot of time.
That's a lot of production.
That's a lot of production. I would love to be able to do it, but exactly.
That's the time.
I would have to quit. I'd have to quit 2 podcasts.
You'd be doing one podcast. You'd be doing that
once a month.
That would be once a month. That would be like this podcast.
It'd be like this podcast.
Oh, this one's easy. We just get drunk and talk.
This is probably the easiest podcast. It is the easiest podcast I do because I don't have to worry about streaming and I don't have to worry about chat.
See, I'm a good friend.
You are a good friend. I've never said you weren't a good friend.
How's that old fashioned? Looks like you liked it.
It's good. Yes, it's very good.
Drank it all down. I can make you another one.
All right.
She's up for it.
She is? Oh, really? I have to get you guys an Uber to get home.
See, I told you they were good for you.
All right. So we're going to take a little pause here because I want to, come on. You know what I didn't do this time? Press pause.
So we've been running?
Yes.
Well, safety first.
Safety first.
Well, it's like they always say, the burned hand teaches best.
Yes, it does. All right, we're back. Deuce has another old-fashioned. Diane has another old-fashioned. John's still nursing his first one.
Well, after the last one with on the Boomer Bunker podcast, and
Oh, my God.
you were spiraling out of control, and I kind of think maybe Bob was getting exasperated with the both of us. When I re-listened to it, I was like,
Well, we do what we do. We break into what we do, and Bob doesn't even know what we're talking about. Okay, so what happened
we
that
were
night?
speaking French a lot.
We were speaking French.
Right.
Like it's when you and Joe used to start talking about stories, and I'm sitting there like, I don't know what the hell these two are talking about. That's speaking French. All right, so one of the things, since you used to be in retail and you had your own store and there was shoplifting, when did you finally get rid of your store? What year was that?
December 20th, 2001.
Oh, wow.
It's going on 20. It'll be 22 years this December I sold it.
Okay, so back
I was
then,
there for 7 years.
all right, so back then,
It was a different world then.
It
when
was
you
a
think
different
about
world.
it.
It was a different world. So apparently there's a supermarket chain down in Texas called HEB. And what I'm going to play for you right now is a lady who's shoplifting, and I'll stop it, but watch what she has. So now this is employees. Now this lady's shoplifting. Look what she's got.
Meat.
She's got a whole shopping cart
That's
full.
about 60 pounds of meat in that shopping cart.
I don't even
Easily.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking to myself, if I'm going to shoplift, if I'm going to a grocery store to shoplift, I'm getting meat because it's the most expensive. I mean, every steak is $16, $18, $20. She's got things in there like if you look in the bottom, see right here, if you look at the bottom there, she's got tubes of ground beef that have to be 10 pounds.
Oh, easily.
And she's just throwing it in there. Now, one employee is videotaping, and you'll see there's another employee that's going to try to stop her. Watch what happens. She tries to bring the cart away. Look at her. She won't stop.
No.
And now they're just watching her throw. Look, heaving meat. And look at the size of those tubes of ground beef.
Damn.
They won't stop her, and they're just recording. Look at this. It's not even stopping. No shame whatsoever. Why don't they hit her?
Yeah.
Right? In other words, why don't they stop her? Why don't they just like one tackle her, one grab the shopping cart,
Right.
or one push her? You know, okay, so let's dig
Why
in.
don't you just grab one of the pieces of meat, just smack her in the face with it?
smack her around, right?
Here, you want some beef? Psh.
Because I think what happened was that someone got sued because
Intervening.
some company got sued, so they're like, no, just take it. Well, now they're just taking so much.
Right. Well, you know what it also could be? Before it got crazy and you had attorney generals and district attorneys not prosecuting these George Soros-based people that get elected, you would always hear stories from time to time in an instance like this where an employee intervened and stopped the beating, the shoplifting, the robbery, whatever, and then they wound up getting fired because the store chain has a policy not to get involved.
Exactly.
You know, so maybe that's what this HEB company in Texas, they might have that in play.
Right.
So they're just figuring, well, we'll try to stop her, but
So now the security, they have security. They can't do anything. The employees can't do anything. Everybody's getting mad because people are just going in and stealing so much from the stores that the stores are losing so much. So anywhere that there's a high crime area, they're just closing the stores. In San Francisco, they're closing Targets, they're closing Walmarts.
yeah, they're getting out of Dodge.
They're closing
New York City also.
New York-
Nordstrom just closed somewhere.
In San Francisco.
Was Frisco?
San Francisco because people are just going in there and just fleecing them. They're just stealing them. Everything for there.
I'm glad we went when we did, you know, when we had a real president in office and none of this shit was happening.
Correct.
That was in 2017 because it was great. You know, it was like normal life.
And she got away. Now, I don't know why you don't take and videotape the license plate.
They probably
The car.
got it. They probably, with all these people, because somebody's recording this and the other employee is recording her loading the trunk up with meat. Somewhere they probably got this woman's license plate. You know, you just have to, if we're able to follow the story, sometimes there's a follow-up. Sometimes there's not a follow-up.
So you know,
Sometimes the shark will let go. Sometimes the shark wouldn't let you go.
So you know what our friend, the communist Democrat
Which one? But then I repeat myself.
AOC would say, well, because she has to steal food for her family, because her family can't make it on whatever she's, so she's there just trying to steal. She's just trying to feed her family, and we should just let her go steal thousands of dollars of meat. There's got to be $1,000 of meat in that shopping cart.
Easily. And there's more expensive stuff in supermarkets than that. I know a guy. Well, I knew a guy. He used to work for us. He won there was a contest in a supermarket, and you went on a shopping spree. You didn't get to keep the stuff, but you had to run through there. It was for charity. It was a charity event.
Okay.
Meat was excluded, and you had to fill your shopping cart up with items in the store. And if whatever the value of your cart was after a 3-minute blitz through the supermarket was donating that money to the charity.
Okay, I get it.
That's how it worked. Well, apparently he knows more about shopping in stores than I do because that's Diane's job.
All right, hold on. Before you go any further. So, Diane, you've just heard what the contest is. You got 3 minutes. What are you going to pick up to get the most money? And you're not allowed to use meat, right?
Meat was excluded.
Right. So what would you go after right away to try?
All the vegetables. They're very expensive now. And cheeses, deli stuff.
Cheeses, deli stuff, vegetables.
Well, okay. If that was the criteria now, I would agree with you. But it's only in the last couple of years that vegetables and fruit got really expensive.
Right.
Okay.
So this was he told me this story like 8 years ago. And when he did this, it was probably like 10 years before that. So,
all right. So now let me ask you. You have to run and do the 3 minutes. Where are you going? Because I know where I'm going.
Well, I know where I'm going now thanks to him.
Oh, okay. All right.
Okay, because I am clueless. I know nothing about shopping. Diane does that. Okay. So,
you know where I'm heading?
But what he went and did, he wound up winning.
Hang on. I know.
Okay.
Well, let me just say, so what I would do is I would grab that cart and I would run, limp, whatever, to the beauty aisle, like where all the makeup and everything is, because that shit's expensive.
Well, the supermarkets are different now. Yeah, I guess I can see
all right,
that.
so that's where I would go. Okay, so now what did he do?
He went and he was grabbing the gigantic boxes of Tide, family-sized Tide and family-sized Woolrite. And also, he loaded up with Pampers and baby formula.
Okay.
And he won. He blew everyone out of the water because apparently he had his shit together and he knows what stuff costs. I am an amateur when it comes to shop. First off, most guys, like Joe would say, we shop like Terminators.
Yeah.
We know what we want. We go in and we get it. Fuck it. I'm out.
Yeah. Like when we go clothes shopping, we figure we're going to get pants.
The queen of dilly-dally here, she'll linger in the store 3 or 4 hours and come home with like $50 worth of stuff. It's like, well, what did you get? It's like, well, look at this adorable top I got. Isn't it nice? And they're all lavender, purple, and pink. So it's just like,
I'll never
see.
I would get roped into going, listen, we have to go somewhere and I have to get an outfit. Okay, I want you to come with me.
No.
Why? I know, but you know what?
No.
I was dating, so at this point. He's smart. Because you would go.
Because I learned.
I'll tell you what happens.
Previous girlfriends, no.
All right, and I've had previous girlfriends. They all do the same thing. So they go and they find something, and they put it on. I go, wow, that looks amazing. Yeah, I don't know. Let's see if we can find something else. So now we go on all over all the different stores, this and that. They can never find something to match that, to beat that. So what they do is they come back and then buy the first thing that they were going to buy. And that's okay. That's smart. Okay.
Because you look all over.
Okay, you look all over. You found men, we're like pants. We go in, we know what our size
I'm good.
are. Yeah, we walk
off
in,
the rack,
off the rack, into the thing, out we go.
Hell, sometimes I wear this shit without even washing it first. Yeah, fuck it. I got underwear. I'm safe.
Yeah.
Want to make Diane angry? Like, we just had this. We went to a surprise 60th birthday party. And wherever we have to go, it's a ritual. I get ready first, and now I have, an hour and a half to kill before Diane gets ready. So I'm sitting at the computer, and through my peripheral vision out of my left eye, I see her entering the room. I don't even turn to look at her, and I just say, yes, you look fine. You didn't even look at me. Did you notice I just got hit?
Yes. The other thing, okay, and then the other thing is when they go to
Because she never looks like shit. She always looks fine. It's like, so why do I even have to look?
I'm telling you, there was one point in our relationship where we would have never been friends again because Sandy was your maid of honor. And she's like, I can't get my hair right. I'm like, I don't care. Wrap that shit up, put a bow in it, put some kind of pins in it. We got to go. And she goes, I'm not going. I go, what do you mean you're not going? What do you mean you're not going? I'm not going. I said, well, I'm not going without you. The hell? I can't show up. And then she's going to be looking at me. Where's Sandy? I'm sorry, she can't make it.
Yeah.
Right? So I said, well, that's it. I guess we're just never friends with Deuce and Diane again. And I said, so I looked at her. I said, you get in there and do something. We're going. That's why I was late. That's why when I tried to put on the cummerbund, the buckle busted. That's why we forgot the rings.
Oh, yeah.
Remember that?
All that shit happened. Because she could. And you know what? When she got done, she goes, okay, this is fine.
And she looked fine.
It looked the same as it did when she first started. It's
Memories.
Yes.
Whatever the words are, that fucking song. Fucking Barbra Streisand.
I'm like, how do I show up without you?
Yeah.
I should have showed up and said, Diane, that was dumb. You should have never picked her.
Well, that was a whole nother why, we had to cut somebody out of the wedding party because the original maid of honor screwed Diane over.
That's right.
So Sandy got a promotion.
Yeah.
And we could not find, see, now it's different. 30 years ago, weddings are different now. They're really a lot less formal. And for every girl that's in the wedding party, there's a guy as an escort. That's how it was.
It's not like that anymore?
No, it's not. I've been to weddings now where there'll be like one guy walking with two girls on each arm. That's just the way it is now. Nothing is synchronous anymore. Nothing symmetry. It's
you know who thought of that?
I have no idea.
A guy.
Oh, I'm sure.
A guy
Well,
said.
I've seen it both ways. I've seen one girl with two guys.
Yeah.
I've seen it both ways. Now, roll the, like Peabody Sherman, set the Wayback Machine, Sherman, for, because in 1992, it was not like that. And this person bailed out on Diane less than a month before the wedding.
That's right. I remember that now.
And we tried for a week to try to replace that person. Sandy was going to get promoted regardless.
Right.
Okay. We tried for a week to replace Sandy's spot, in essence. We could find nobody. It was too close. Who planned? We got married in August.
Right.
People are on vacation. Who's going to be away? And it breaks my heart to this day. I had to cut Don loose.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, because you were my best man. My two brothers and my uncle were in the wedding party.
That's right.
And it sounds shitty to say, but blood's thicker than water.
Right.
So I had to cut Don loose. And he was only dating Denise for like maybe 2 months then. We don't know if they wound up getting married and they're coming up on their 30th.
That's right.
But at that time, we don't know if they're going to, that's my biggest sorrow until this day that I had to cut Don loose.
Wow.
Because of some cunt.
Oh, my God.
Even Diane has cut her out.
I would imagine.
Yeah, well, no, only just finally after 29 years.
Oh, really? You mean you were still friends with her after she did that? Oh, my God.
And of course, she wonders why I would be furious at this.
Yes. Yeah. I said to her, I guess I'm not going either. I guess I'm just going to say to Deuce, I'm sorry, and I know that you will never talk to each other.
Change your phone number, put the house up for sale.
All that shit. How do you do that? I said, you go in there and get that goddamn hair ready. I'm coming in there with a razor.
They're coming up on 31 years.
Wow.
Yeah, this August it'll be 31 years.
Yeah, good. Hey, listen, you guys lasted. Don and Denise lasted. My ex-girlfriend and her husband now.
You know who didn't last?
Jackass.
Well, no, the bitter Asian
The
man.
bitter. Oh my God! Remember the mute?
Yeah, that lasted 8 months. That lasted 8 months. And I think, but I'm not sure. I think his second marriage split up.
He got married again.
Oh yeah, he went to get he married an older broad, and he gave me shit for marrying an older broad, and then he wound up doing the same thing. I was just
so we're going to back up here. So the bitter Asian was a guy that we went to college with. He was part of the Brand X group. He got into an argument with. Well, he said something about Deuce, and that was it. Like I said, when Deuce is done with you, Deuce is done with you. So that's when he became the bitter Asian.
Well, he cut me off before I cut him off. It's a convoluted tale, but essentially John's got it right. So, but it's like a fucking soap opera. Jesus
Absolutely.
Christ.
Oh, of course. So he was dating this girl, and he would bring her around, and man, did she have some big fucking tits. But I will digress. She never talked. She should sit there and shut up.
No, Denise gave her the nickname Mute.
That's right. Because
they would sit there on the couch canoodling, whispering in each other's ear, which is
ignorant.
It's very ignorant and rude because who is she talking about? Or what is she talking about that the other 8 people in the room are not allowed to hear?
Well, it reminded me of the Seinfeld episode where the puffy shirt.
Exactly.
That's exactly what
she was. A low talker.
She was a low talker.
Yeah.
Then he gets engaged.
Right.
And all of a sudden, she finds her voice.
Yeah.
She's talking. She's this. She's that. I was like, who's this? Is he dating the twin? I don't know. Mm-hmm. And they lasted 8 months.
8 months. Yeah,
wow.
Within 8 months, she started banging another dude behind her back because I guess she figured out he was an asshole.
Oh, well, okay.
But he did get remarried.
I didn't know that. And
but I think because every once in a while, I use my super stalking skills.
Okay.
And, you start Googling people and say, what. And there's 2 separate addresses now. Yeah, so with his name and her name. So it's like,
I haven't seen him.
Not that I want to chortle and chuckle, but I will.
I haven't seen this.
I'm still standing 31 years later.
That's true.
Hey, bitter Asia man. Fuck you. Just saying. It's the best I could do.
Now this isn't working. Ugh. Man, my soundboard's not working. I'm telling you, man, that's it. I was going to say, it's the one where you go, fuck you, faggot. Oh. I can't find it.
Now you can drop that in post-production.
Yes. Let's see if I can find it. Oh, it was this one.
So go fuck yourselves.
Yeah. All that for that. Now I got to leave it in because we got production.
Yeah, we got skills.
We got skills. So, I think right now what's happening, customers are starting to get upset with this.
Yeah.
Like, since law enforcement won't do their job.
Yeah, well, they get in trouble.
Right. People are like, I've had enough, and we're going to be done. So now what they do is they bring their cameras out. So here's this one here where we have this ladies, they jump behind the counter, and they went right for the cigarettes.
Oh, sure.
Look at them. All masks on.
And hair weaves.
Right.
Also on aisle 1.
Look at them.
99, code 99.
Code 99, I guess that means stealing shit.
See, then the thing happens.
It's like an armed robbery.
Well, it is exactly what it is. And the last podcast I had talked about actually it wasn't this podcast. It was on the bunker. And I had talked about how the homeowner's insurance policy on mine went up 19%. What's because of this shit?
Right.
The insurance companies are not going to take the loss.
No.
They're going to pass it on to what customers they have.
Right.
Just to recap on this podcast, if you didn't hear the Boomer Bunker, I owned a property. I had homeowners insurance, and I got a notice that they had solicited the state of New Jersey that the premium was going to go up 19%. In 1 year, 19%. So I called my agent. I says, what's this all about? And in a nutshell, he said, well, remember in 2020 when Antifa and Black Lives Matter was burning down cities for 8 months and there was looting and rampaging theft? Yeah. You didn't think the insurance companies were going to take that hit, did you?
Damn it.
So thankfully, I saw that the property was right down the street from here in Gibbstown. Great property and everything. We sold it, and thankfully, just in time before I had to take that burden of that homeowner's insurance policy on. Now, Diane and I own another property. I'm waiting for the other shoe to drop to see what that homeowner's insurance policy is going to increase to because it was a different company.
Okay. All right.
This is, people think it's a victimless crime, that it's only insurance companies. No, it affects everybody.
Yep. Absolutely.
And
it
people,
continues.
yeah, they choose not to see that.
Right. And so what is going to, and it's starting, you're seeing more and more of this. So here is a 73-year-old lady. Where do you see this story? This guy, he's got look at him. He's got a shopping cart and he's got his bike.
He's got a caravan going on.
You gonna pay for that? When? You gonna pay for it?
He's dismissing the man filming, but there's someone else he's going to have to face, and she means business.
She takes a 73-year-old lady, takes her shopping cart, jams it in the doorway, and won't let him come out.
Nice.
And look at her.
I bet she's Italian.
The woman, who claims to have seen the man shoving roast beefs into his backpack earlier, rips the man's mask off.
Nice.
Come on, bud.
While the man filming grabs the cart full of goods,
Come on.
Get out.
thus thwarting the alleged would-be thief.
Just jack up the price for everybody else because of you. The most time they got.
Yeah, she's got to be Italian. She ain't taking no shit.
Well, my thing is, it's like, why stop bleeping it? We've all heard curse words. I want to hear this 73-year-old lady say,
Throw
"Get
them
out
out
of here,
there."
you fucking asshole!"
Oh, you want to hear a 73-year-old woman curse? Just come to my house when Diane burns herself on the toaster.
I'm not 73. Not yet.
I hope this all is readable since she's off mic.
I know. Well, Diane, let's put it this way: you're closer to 73 than you are 63.
Yes.
Okay. So, I mean, I could see, although, you know what? I don't see you doing this. I don't see you jamming your car.
She's very
in there.
passive.
Yeah, I don't see her doing it.
Yeah, I'm pretty passive.
See, the thing is, we're at home in the kitchen puttering around. If you burn yourself on the toaster, I might let out a damn it or a shit. Not Diane. Right for the F word. Right to the top. Now, if I'm in the garage puttering around and maybe an engine block falls on my foot, someone's at your door. It's the Jimmy.
Oh, come on down.
It's the Jimmy. It's the Jimmy.
What do you mean? I don't have, this one's not connected. Grab a chair.
Jimmy, this is my wife, Diane. Diane, the Jimmy.
Grab a chair. Pull it up. There's one over there. Or go walking then. I don't care whatever you want to do. Yeah, so, Jesus Christ! Now I got to put a marker in here. Can't say his name. He asked me the other day. He said, "What's his name?" And I said, And I told him your name, and he goes, "Oh, so now."
So he must have been rehearsing it for 3 days.
He must have been rehearsing it for 3 days to come in there and say it. So now I got to bleep it out. Yeah, he did say, "Oh, you impeccable pronunciation on that."
Yeah, it was
name.
right on. I turned my head like, what?
Jesus.
Huh? What?
I'm Diane.
Well, right
No.
now we're talking about
That's
shoplifting.
the subject of the minute.
Jimmy's the kind of guy where he's always looking for something to worry about. And I said, to him,
Diane.
and I said to him the other day, I said, "Dude, there's so much going right in your life right now. Stop looking for something to stress about."
Worst case scenario, Diane. That's what I call it.
He's working on it though. Yeah, I shaved my head because I thought he was going to have his head shaved to have the operation, and I look and they never shaved his
Yeah,
head.
but you actually look good when you shave your head.
I don't know.
You can pull it off.
Look
Well,
at
you know what it is? You've done it so infrequently, you're not used to it.
I'm used to it. Everybody else freaks out about it. I don't see myself.
Well, that's why, because you do it and then you let it grow in, then you do it again.
Yeah.
If you just did it and stuck with it,
You think I should go with the bald head?
I think you actually look pretty good with it.
Okay, that's it.
You know,
I'm
'cause
shaving
you
my
got-
head.
You know why? Because you're a guy that can grow a real beard.
Here's the thing. Here's the
See,
other thing.
Joe can't grow a real beard. He looks like Yasser Arafat. It looks like when Kareem Abdul-Jabbar went bald. It looks
Right.
like mange. So
Yes.
he had to shave it. He had no choice. He had to shave his head.
I might have to go back to the other system so I can set up multiple mics here because now we got a conversation here while we're doing
Yeah,
this.
there's a show outside of the
There's
show.
a show
going on
outside
right
of the
now.
show. Jesus Christ. What do? I don't know what to do. Okay. Oh, good. I can cut most of this out.
Nah, you have to cut it out.
Well, he's talking while we're talking. Well, I can't do that, but I'm just saying. There's time when he's.
It's good to see you.
Do you want him to have earphones?
No, he's leaving. Thank God. I mean, it was nice to see you, Jimmy. I got to go.
Keep on doing what you're doing. You look good.
You know what I did lose when I lost the my mind, and
That I did hear.
then I lost the Jimmy. The Jimmy. Jimmy? What are you gonna? I don't have that drop anymore. I had that drop. I don't have it anymore.
What drop was that?
The one where it says when I would talk about the Jimmy, he goes, "Oh, Jimmy, what are you doing? What are you doing?" Remember the one I had?
No.
Well, there we go. We just had the Jimmy. It's like
Cameo
when-
appearance by the Jimmy. Diane's cameo appearance by Diane. Cameo appearance by the Jimmy.
It's like
It's all going down on the 7th anniversary show.
yeah. It's like when the Tonight Show when
If
Frank.
Joe rolls the fuck up, then we know that the planets are aligned.
If Joe shows up, I will have another old fashioned. I'll be canceling the Rubberneckers podcast. I got to do it 9
What
o'clock.
time is it?
It's 4.
Oh, 10 after 4.
Yeah. Hold on. Time for cherry. There's some good cherries.
And they're good for you.
Yes, they are.
Packed with vitamins, minerals, splash of rye.
But there was just one where there's two women went into a TJ Maxx and they were stealing handbags. And this customer was up the front of the store, and one of them got by him, and the second one did not. And he grabbed the handbags. He just grabbed the handbags. He didn't touch her. And she punched him. And that was a bad thing to do because he punched her. He grabbed her. He got her on the floor, and she's screaming, "Let me go, let me go, let me go." No, we're not letting you go.
We were talking about the earlier shoplifting.
Right.
And a lot of the police don't get involved now because
No.
it's not worth the aggravation.
Because the
And-
whatchamacallit will just let him go.
Oh, well, that's just it, you know. Well, not only that, it's the aggravation. And the reason I say this is to bring up a story. There's somebody I used to work with. He became a police officer in my town. And I needed him for a firearms issue as a character witness.
Oh, you're a character.
So I'm a character already. So I went, I needed 3 people. I said, hey, what better than to use this guy that's a police officer in the town that I live in to be one of the 3? No brainer.
Correct.
Right? And I meet up with him at the police department. He was working the desk where people come in and file complaints and all that bullshit. I got to talking to him and I asked him, I says, man, is it tough out there now? And how hard is it to get recruits to be police officers now? Because it would seem to me that it's like nobody wants to be bothered with that stuff. And he said, yeah, it is pretty tough. And most of it is, we don't have a problem fulfilling it because what happens is you get people that are like Camden cops or Atlantic City cops. They're like, you know what, fuck this. I'll be a cop in the suburbs.
Correct.
And that's where they wind up hiring. So, but they don't really get any fresh recruits. But then he related the story to me and he said, yeah, I mean, we don't really get involved in anything unless something is like so over the top, egregiously against the law. And he told me the story. And there's a highway here in South Jersey. It's known as the Black Horse Pike. It runs from the Delaware River all the way to New Jersey to Atlantic City. It runs across the whole state. An officer in my town pulled somebody over for blasting, not running, I mean blasting through a red light. I mean, this thing was red for like a solid 15 seconds. Guy never stopped. He must have just looked left, looked right, and just plowed right through. So, how apropos. Here comes the police department out of John's house. So, another officer pulled him over. He was one of the officers that was on duty, and he came along as backup. So now they're doing the check, and they find out as they run this guy's information, surprise, he has a bench warrant out for his arrest, which means for all the leftists and communists, and Democrats, but then I repeat myself out there, if someone has a warrant out for their arrest, they have to be arrested, regardless of what the offense was that they were being pulled over for. And this individual must have known that, and they approached him. They told him to step out of the car, and he sprinted across the Black Horse Pike, which is a very busy highway here, especially where John and I live.
Yeah, it's 4 lanes.
So before the police could even engage in a foot pursuit, a car that was traveling on the Black Horse Pike struck him.
Yes.
And he got swept up on the hood. They slammed up on the brakes, and then he got thrown onto the pavement where they arrested him. And he suffered a broken leg. They arrested him. They brought him in. And the way the story hit the press was that this individual suffered a broken leg over running a red light.
Ain't that sweet?
So it goes to show you the most powerful people in the press, as Lee Iacocca said in his book, the most powerful people in the press is the motherfucker that writes the headlines.
Yep.
Because most people, I would say probably nowadays, 99% of the people read the headlines. They don't read the story, or they don't know the story, and they just go with that narrative. So he was like, yeah, so there I was. Now I get dragged into having to file a report. I got interviewed by the county administrator, and that's why a lot of cops are like, oh, shoplifting, fuck it. It's not worth it.
It's not, yeah. Except it is worth it, because the more that you let them get away with, the more
it
people.
Empowers them. It enables them.
Right. Same thing now with these catalytic converters.
Oh, the theft? Yeah.
Yeah. The theft of catalytic converters now is insane.
Oh, by the way, before I see that over there,
Yes.
that's John's number one fan.
Oh.
Who?
Fan.
You didn't get it?
Oh, the fan. That's the white fan.
That's John's number one fan.
That is my I have a fan in the studio.
Yeah, I've been waiting like 3 months to crowbar that into the conversation.
I'm like, I'm looking at the screen. Like, who's my number one fan?
I'm glad Diane appreciates it.
Yeah, upstairs I have a black fan. And I go, oh, look, my black fan.
Is it your only black fan?
It is my only black fan. Very racist. I only buy white fans. That black fan happened to be on sale. So, now to be honest with you, when it comes to fans, I don't see color. I don't.
Oh, Diane really got a kick out of that. I feel pretty good about myself right now.
I should just set up a mic for the laughter. To be quite honest with you.
Am I laughing too loud?
No, you're not laughing.
Not laughing loud enough.
Yeah, exactly.
We would like it to be on the podcast.
I would like it to be on the mic. Oh my goodness. So, all right. I've completely lost count.
We were talking about cops and pulling people over.
Yeah. So right now they have these catalytic converters where people are. What just happened to my screen? My screen is
they're
small.
taking sawzalls to them and cutting them off.
Yeah. We have one guy who's in our Discord. He hangs out. He lives in New York. He had a Toyota, or I don't remember what he had. I forget what kind of car he has. So, but anyway, his catalytic converter stolen.
Yeah.
So
they like to target trucks because obviously you got the ground clearance and
apparently Toyota Priuses, because for some reason wherever they're located, they're easier to get to
because they got that electric motor, not electric, that hybrid. Yeah, the electric motor up front, so it pushes everything rearward. Twan has one. He's got a Prius.
So there was a senator or somebody some political leader in San Francisco, but you know whose fault it is that all these catalytic converters?
Clearly the car companies, I'll bet.
Yep.
It's their fault. They should have known that people would want to do this. And
they should make them easier they should make them harder to steal.
Right.
They're so easy to steal. Why wouldn't somebody take a sawzall and saw off both ends of them and then, take these things? what I would do right now is I would just say anybody that's taking catalytic converter, whatever they're pulling out of these catalytic converter, and I forget what it is.
Platinum.
All right.
Platinum pellets.
Yeah, you can't wherever they're selling these, wherever people are buying these, you can't buy them anymore unless they have a receipt or something like that.
Like a pawn shop.
Like a pawn shop.
The way pawn shops work, to go along with what you're saying, when I had my business, there was a pawn shop right in the middle of downtown Runnymede. It's still there. Well, one day this guy comes walking into my store and he says, "Can I buy cigarettes with these?" And he gives me these Morgan silver dollars. Now, Morgan silver dollars were minted between, they're gigantic.
Right.
They're 99.9% pure silver. And they were minted between like 1878 and 1920.
Okay.
They're nothing but silver. And I'm a coin collector. I'm like, yeah, they're good here. So I said, yeah, okay, give me a pack of Marlboro and I'll take this later. So he gave me 5 of these. Now, I know that this guy probably stole a coin collection or obtained a coin collection or something to have these. And I took them. And I was like, okay, great. Hey, I'm feeling lucky. I got 5 new silver dollars. Nice. The woman down the street that ran the place, whose name was also Diane, she comes in and says, "Hey, Diane, good morning. How you doing?" I had a rough morning. I go, "Oh, what's up?" Somebody came in and they wanted to pawn 5 old silver dollars. But when I produced the form out to track this, they abruptly walked out and left, and they yelled and they cursed and hollered at me. And I was like, oh, and I opened up my cash register. I was like, "Was it these 5 silver dollars?" And she looked at them and she said, "Probably, yeah, that looks like them." I said, "Yeah, he came in here and he bought a pack of cigarettes and a cigarette lighter for him." So, so I had in my hand about $70 worth of silver for $5 worth of cigarette and lighter. Well, then she informed me that's why he stormed out, because when you go to a pawn shop and you pawn coin collections or jewelry, you got to fill out a claim, because the police departments immediately go to pawn shops.
Sure.
And they look for this stuff to see who tracked. And this guy evidently knew that. So somebody got their house busted into, or a nephew, a drug addicted nephew stole their coin collection off of somebody. And that's how I wound up with them.
So what's the rest of the story?
Well, I'm just saying, that's why with the platinum pellets, if you would go there and track this stuff, hey, who gave you a catalytic converter? Well, this guy sold me this catalytic converter. They can go arrest him.
Yeah, I know. But what happened to the silver coins? Did you?
Oh, I still got them. Yeah, fuck that guy.
Well, wait a minute. Aren't you
An accessory?
Holding stolen goods?
Well, even if I am, the statute of limitations ran out in 1999 because this happened back in 1997. So I'm good. I own them fair and square. Fuck that guy. It's all about Deuce and his needs.
Kind of like this podcast.
Don't try to trap me with your mumbo-jumbo psyops operation over there, you.
Well, I thought you, being the upstanding Republican, would have called the police and said, "Hey, you know what? Do you know anybody that's missing these coins?"
Nah, because they couldn't. They would fucking wind up with them. Fucking Officer O'Malley of the Runnymede Police Department, retired at this fucking point, would have the fucking 5 silver dollars in his fucking thing.
Okay.
Just saying.
Just saying. Oh, my God. All right. So where do we go from here?
And for that guy that lost the coins?
Well, again, I go back to, the thing with fentanyl now and how everybody's getting addicted.
Have another old-fashioned, John.
No, one's plenty. Trust me. I've got a lot of work to do after this. So after, so people are getting addicted to drugs. So now they've got to get this fixed, and they're not working. So now they're out stealing. So what they're doing is they're stealing stuff off of landscape trailers and all. And the first place they go is they go to a pawn shop, until somebody goes to the pawn shop and says, "Hey,
that's mine."
So then they call the police. The police come in. They pull the book out and they go, "Oh, okay, here's the guy. Here's his license plate." And then the pawn shop has to give that back to him and does not get compensated for it.
No, they're shit out of luck.
They're shit out of luck.
You want to talk about being really stupid? There's a customer, once again, there was a customer that came in my store and they had a counterfeit $20 bill. I says, I can't take this. It's counterfeit. Oh, it can't be counterfeit. I just got it from the bank. Oh, I assure you, this is counterfeit. I could detect, and I still can, from all those years of counting cash, being in the cash business. When a counterfeit bill comes across my fingers, I know it just tactily, it feels different than real money because it's made of paper. Real money is made out of linen and cloth.
Correct.
That's why it doesn't fade when you wash it. It survives. I told this person, I said, well, I'm going to go to the bank and turn this in. You don't want to do that. I says, I hate to say this. If you go to the bank, they're going to keep it. You're out $20. My suggestion to you is to go buy gasoline where they get so much cash that they won't even know who gave it to them. Just fill your tank up with gas. But no, they were going to do the John Jamingo thing, call up the cops, and then you're out the $5 silver. So they went to the bank and reported it, and they said, okay, well, thank you. Well, where's my $20? I said, what $20? I just gave you you gave me fake money.
Yeah, you gave me fake money.
It's not like you gave me $20 worth of silver. Here's $20. Here's a $20 bill for it.
Right.
And then they came back and they told me this. I told you that was going to happen. Think about it. If that was the way it worked, everybody would be counterfeiting.
Right.
Shit, I'd be running them off all day long. Like, hey, the government's just going to give me $20 for this bad bill. All right, I'm in.
Yeah. Again, if they would have listened to Deuce.
Yeah. There's a litany of things that people listen. But I digress.
All right. Well, I'm out of topics.
Good news. Wow.
So, all right. So let me ask you this.
All right.
So where do we go with Brand X from here? What would you like to do in this next year? If you had like a
I'd
wish
like
list?
to do, if we could find another place that would let us, like Sacanti's, let us just do it there.
All right.
Real casual.
All righty.
We could do it now that summer's coming. We could do one in my backyard.
We could do one.
We could drag Joe in there.
All righty.
Well, we need 3 mics though, right?
Well, I mean, I can bring this thing here and bring 3 mics.
I got a mic at my house.
Somewhere around here is a backpack. It's in the back room there. Mm-hmm. Somewhere the same. What was it? It's
that
like
we did
a carrying
at Sacanti's, yeah.
That we did at Sacanti's. I have microphones. I have headsets, and I have a mixer that I can just use.
I think Joe's back to working he was always working, but now I think he's actually, now that COVID is over, he's actually going back into Camden now, I think.
Okay.
Lucky him.
Jesus.
But he gets in before the locals get up, and he's out before the locals are wandering around rampaging and stealing. So he's like,
yeah. I don't know how this stops. I get a little nervous because one of the guys from the Federal Reserve says, oh, there's no problem with the bank. The banking industry is...
That's it. Yeah, well, they're not even talking about First Republic Bank shutting down.
Right.
That's the third large bank closure.
He didn't even get it out of his mouth yet.
Yeah.
And the stock dropped through the fucking roof.
Well, they arranged it somehow. I think, J.P. Morgan Chase bought it.
Here's the thing.
But that bank, First Republic Bank, if I remember correct, they had 10% of the nation's deposits in it.
Yeah.
That's a lot of fucking money. 10%?
All right, so hang on. Let me find out what's the bank that just bought that other bank? What's the name of that bank?
J.P. Morgan Bank just bought First Republic.
All right. All right, there we go. I don't know what's going on, but every time I unplug that and plug it back in again, it seems to work. So
it's a reset switch.
It's a reset switch. Turn it on, turn it off. All right, who's the head of J.P. Morgan Chase? Here we go. Jamie Dimon.
Okay.
Jamie Dimon, back in 2016, when we started this podcast, he was being drug into court. He was being subpoenaed because they were allowing Jeffrey Epstein to bank with him,
right?
Even though they knew that he was a convicted pedophile and they were doing all this business with him. So he is now the head of J.P. Morgan Chase Bank. And he's been there since January 1st, 2006. They are making a mega bank that cannot fail.
Mm-hmm.
All these other banks are going to go. They're going to make one bank, and so these banks can't fail. So and what they're doing is they're saying, okay, you take over this bank and you get the profits, and any losses the government will take care of it. Well, who's the government?
Right, us.
Jackass.
Yeah, Jackass is the government.
And so this guy, Jamie Dimon, he's all wrapped up in this Jeffrey allegedly.
Because Jackass always takes it up the ass.
Jackass always takes it up the ass. Jamie Dimon, who's the chief of J.P. Morgan Chase Bank, is now he's gobbling all these other banks up.
Yeah,
and I'm sorry, but
seriously. I've been through. This is my 5th downturn of the economy.
Yep.
with 401ks and IRAs and whatnot, and I always know it comes back. But now I'm 58, so
you can't handle another one.
Well, that's the thing. See, now I'm on the dock and I'm seeing my ship come in. Those masts on the tall ship are getting larger and larger. When I was 45, I was like, I'm decades away before retiring. Well, now it's in my horizon. I'm seriously considering, based on the advice, my own thoughts and the advice of my accountant, when things start to come back, divest yourself out of your 401ks, put it into an annuity because it's safe.
Okay.
And it's stable, and it's always going to be there for you because you're in your 401k or your IRA, you're invested mostly in stocks and bonds. The bonds are more stable than stocks.
Not now, not with the interest rates going up.
Well, they're guaranteed. You don't make as much money, but if you were to buy a bond now, if something was just issued, the interest rate would be like 10%, say.
Yeah.
Whereas
okay.
as a bond issued 10 years ago would be 3%.
Right.
It's just my thought, and it's what I don't want. I worked too long and too hard to watch my 401k turn into a 201k again.
Right.
So I'm really, really thinking probably in the next year and a half, 2 years that I'm going to be getting out of the market and into an annuity because it's stable and it's safe.
Yeah, it's crazy. I go back to the George Carlin routine where he said, they're coming for your pensions, they're coming for your Social Security, and they'll get it. Mm-hmm. They get everything, and you get nothing. Yeah, this was a long time ago. And, everybody thought that he was like this crazy old man. But he seems now like he had his finger on the pulse.
George Carlin he's my favorite and has always been my favorite comedian.
Yeah.
Even though I love Bill Burr, I love Sebastian Maniscalco, but George Carlin was an intellectual.
Yeah,
he really, really was. He had a command of the English language, and he was a keen observer. And now a lot of people, I see George Carlin clips all over Facebook all the time now of routines that he did 20, 30 years ago. And he was ahead of the curve on this stuff,
I was watching a clip on the Joe Rogan show, and they were talking about George Carlin. And George Carlin did a routine about how we got to start killing people. Like there's too many people, and we got to start killing people. Mm-hmm. And he went through this whole routine.
They're doing it into the Netherlands and Canada now, so those friendly Canucks.
You know when he did this?
Oh, that was back in the late 80s, early 90s.
No, it wasn't. It was September 9th and 10th, 2001. They recorded it, and then September 11 happened. And George buried that. There's not even a recording. I mean, the recording of it is gone.
Okay.
They don't even have it. There's some people that had recorded some of it there or whatever.
Probably at a small club or venue.
Yeah, but
HBO didn't record it, but
wow,
a rehearsal or something.
No,
it
was recorded to be a special. Mm-hmm. And George said, we were not putting, this is never to see the light of day.
Yeah.
After what just happened.
Hey, did you see what's going on with Tucker Carlson lately? I mean, there's something new every day.
Yeah.
But now they're getting all these this. Obviously, Fox is leaking footage to, of all people, Media Matters, who is Satan itself, to try to make him look bad. But I watch it and I'm like, yeah, so it's a nothing burger.
Okay. So I'm going to go back to the beginning of this podcast when you and I first started podcasting.
I wish I had harp music.
So when we first started this podcast, I basically watched mainstream media. I watched the news, and I believed the news because they were the news and they were supposed to be telling the truth.
And I used to yell at you about that.
You used to yell at me about that, and I wouldn't believe you. And a lot of that's why when I come on here, I apologized. Because
I did get the Deuces Right soundbite off of you for that.
I got to get that.
Deuce
is right.
Deuce was right.
Deuce was right. Like a parrot. I was too busy doing other things and not paying attention. I didn't have my fingers on the pulse like you did.
I think COVID did it for you. I think COVID forced you more into that. I had already left the podcast, and then COVID came, and then the lockdowns came, and you couldn't do anything. Well, and I think that opened up yourself, in my opinion. I might be wrong and off base on it. In my opinion, I think that's what enabled you to start looking elsewhere.
Yeah. Well, the other thing was things didn't make sense. Mm-hmm. Like they were doing things that didn't make sense. I will go with COVID. All right, we have this disease, and they're like, the only thing that we can do is hope you make it. What do you mean, hope you make it? And then other doctors were saying, wait a minute, we got these 2 drugs here that should work. And so then you start looking.
Hydroxychloroquine and ivermectin.
Exactly. So then you start digging into this, and you find an article, because the best thing that had ever happened was the internet. Mm-hmm. All right. So then you find an article that when COVID happened before and they caught it and they stopped it, the military said, okay, well, what happens if we ever get this? And they go, oh, there's no problem. We could treat this. I'm just going to make up a number here because like 80%, we can get 80% of people through this with these 2 drugs. No big deal. So now all of a sudden it breaks out again. And we can't get these drugs. And if you even say these drugs, you get maligned.
Yeah, you're against science.
You're against science. And then Joe Rogan caught this, and because he's such an...
And Donald Trump. People forget when Trump caught it, I think he went on I just said it correctly. Too many old fashions. Hydroxychloroquine.
Yes. So he went on it, and as soon as he said it, as soon as Trump said, hey, we got this stuff called hydrochloroquine. Right. As soon as we have this stuff and it should work, they start talking about that. The factory that made it burnt to the fucking ground. Mm-hmm. So you couldn't get it anymore. And people were using this to treat lupus. So they were having.
And it's cheap.
And it's cheap and it's off.
Real fucking cheap. I think it's 25 cents a dose, I think it was.
Same thing with ivermectin.
Right.
Okay, and people were using ivermectin for years. Same thing. It's not patented. So they didn't
established track record. They know what the side effects were going to be. Exactly. They were negligible.
Right. So it would be the same thing as like, well, we don't know if it works for this. Okay. Well, you know what? Sometimes you say, well, take Tylenol for that. Well, what if it doesn't work? Well, it ain't going to hurt you. It's not going to hurt you if you take it. So
move on to something else.
Right. So there was a mother who had lupus. And her whole family caught it. She was an older woman. So her daughter, son-in-law, and all the grandkids caught it, and she lived with them. They all caught it. They were all sick as dogs. She never caught it. And she said it was because of that medication.
Hydroxychloroquine.
Right.
Hydroxychloroquine.
When do you know?
That's a tongue twister.
It is. When do you know a doctor or any kind of medical profession that would say, okay, well, maybe, hey, look, we got this year's working. And they're like, no. You can't use this. It's only vaccines.
We got to vaccinate our way out of this.
We got to vaccinate our way out of
this. Dr. Fauci, wear the mask, sheep.
And then you go back and you look into Dr. Fauci and you find out that he was in charge of AIDS. And he was in charge of that AZT.
Yeah. His whole solution was vaccinate your way out of it. Not therapies, not established drugs.
And this guy's still walking around. As far as I'm concerned, he should be in jail or swinging from a fucking rope.
Yeah.
In my humble opinion. Oh, first we try him, then we swing them.
Yeah. Could we just burn it with car cigarette lighters?
Wouldn't that be cool?
Yeah, put them in the public square.
That would be
Charge
great.
People $100 to burn Dr. Fauci with a cigarette lighter from your car. You'd probably wipe out most of the deficit.
If you had a loved one die from this because they couldn't get treatment.
They get first crack at them.
They get first crack.
Yeah. Dry shave him with a dull razor. Shave his head.
All that. Tucker Carlson went on and said, imagine if somebody that owns a company takes money from from an advertiser, and the only thing that they can do is,
if I'm not mistaken, didn't he use the My Pillow company as an example?
he did.
Yeah. Now, the reason I bring this, because we did the show before the show, I commented on John's very bad impression of Mike Lindell, the My Pillow guy, because he makes him sound like a manic depressive.
My Pillow.
He sounds nothing like that. He's a very enthusiastic guy. If you use My Pillow, you'll feel great.
Yeah. So Tucker Carlson
You
said,
have him like on barbiturates.
the election was stolen. So Mike Lindell, anyhow, Tucker Carlson said, what if Fox News said that, you have to buy a My Pillow, and then you got to get a booster pillow. And if you don't buy these two pillows, you can't go outside, and you can't go
Can't eat in a restaurant.
You can't eat in a restaurant and everything else. Yeah. So
How would you feel about Fox News at that point?
Right.
That was the whole issue.
And they fired him. And every time that whoever's trying to smear them, and I listen to the Megyn Kelly podcast because she's still clicked in with people in the know over there.
Yeah.
And people are leaking shit. They're like, yeah, this is what he did and this is what's going on. So there's this one broad over there that they all despise. Like she's just like
At Fox?
at Fox News, yeah.
Okay.
And she's like the cunt of cunts.
Is it Rupert Murdoch's son's girlfriend?
No, no. I don't know who that is. But no, it's
Well, I don't know her name
it's
either.
somebody that works there, and she is just a real royal bitch. And she doesn't want her name in the news and everything. She's like
in
behind
the shadows, like George Soros.
Exactly. She's the George Soros of Fox News. And Megyn Kelly keeps calling her out because they're pulling stuff that only Fox News would have. The stuff that's during commercial breaks, the stuff that's being uploaded to satellites, the stuff that's not on the air that only Fox News would have. And they're leaking it to Media Matters because Fox News is free falling now. Mm-hmm. They got beat last week by MSNBC.
Yeah, because Tucker Carlson, when he left, they lost 2 million viewers.
Yeah. And it's worse.
CNN, when they fired Don Lemon, they lost 17 viewers.
And it's because, yes, I get it.
So that's 2,017,000 people that are no longer watching cable news.
Right. People, we want the news. We want the facts. You're supposed to report the facts, and we're supposed to look at that and say, okay, and we're supposed to draw our own conclusions. But they're not doing that anymore. They're telling people, hey, this is what's going on, and this is what you need to believe. So now I'm going to circle this all around. So right now, we're supposed to believe that a man can be a woman and a woman can be a man, that it's okay to take children to a drag show where men that are dressed in like strippers, women, and it's okay for them to just gyrate around, and that's fine. Kids are allowed to transition before they're allowed to cross the street by themselves.
Right.
And we're all supposed to say this is okay. And if we don't, trans people are going to commit suicide. Well, guess what? I'm going to have a hot take. If I got to pick between our children and trans people committing suicide, sorry, trans people. How do you want to do it? We'll figure it out.
We'll help you out with
help you out with that. What they're doing is they're gaslighting us. And a certain amount of people are starting to wake up. You're still going to have that 20 to 30% that will completely believe everything they're told.
Michael Knowles on the Daily Wire on his latest podcast, he had just reported from what sources that he has. And of course, he said he doesn't know if this is true or anything. But basically, Fox News is paying him $1.6 million to stay quiet.
Yeah.
That's what he was getting paid a month. So they're going to pay him
a month or a year?
A month.
$1.6 million.
A month. So they're going to pay. He can't. We were talking about on The Bunker when I was on, and he's obviously got a non-compete clause or whatever like that. So they're going to pay him $1.6 million a month to just shut the fuck up. And he had however many months left on his contract. It was like close to 20 months, I think, or close to 20 million. So it's like, yeah, he had like 17 or 18 months left. So Fox has to pay him $20 million
to not compete against him.
Well, he can't talk.
He can't go on anywhere else.
So now I just saw today on my news show, and I'm sorry I didn't pay close attention to it. I think somebody just offered him $100 million.
Yes, it was. Who was that?
To come to that network.
Right. And it's like, here, we're going to give you $100 million. We're going to give you a stake in our company.
Right.
We're going to do all this stuff for you. And so now.
Now, I didn't know this. I just found this out within the last week. He founded the Daily Caller.
Yes.
I did not know that.
Right. And then, he always says, he was fired by MSNBC, he was fired from CNN, and now he's fired from Fox News.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing is, people believe him. People believe they don't believe the CNN, the MSNBC. I'm talking about independents.
Outside of on Fox anyway, they're mostly pundits.
Exactly.
I mean, outside of Brett Baer, who does the 6 o'clock hard news, that's a hard news channel,
Right.
and you got sources and you can back that up. Everyone else, Jesse Waters and Hannity and Laura Ingraham, and even Tucker Carlson himself. They were pundits,
Right.
but he comes from a media background. His father was a media guy for his whole life. So Tucker's whole life, he was immersed in news.
Correct.
He had the gift of driving people to that network where the others really don't. Like if Laura Ingraham left or Jesse Waters left, I mean, they'd be missed. But are they going to lose 2 million viewers missed? I don't think so.
Right now, I think the worst thing for Tucker Carlson, I think the worst thing he can do is take that $20 million or whatever they're going to pay him and shut up. He needs to get back out there. He needs to say, look, if you're not going to put me out there, we're going to break this contract and I'm going to go somewhere else.
Mm-hmm.
They do not. Fox News does not.
Well, he's
want
in the catbird seat. That's exactly it.
Right.
He's a hot property.
Now, what John Domingo would do, John Domingo would shut the fuck up, take that $20 million and just sail off into the fucking sunset. You would never hear from John Domingo again.
Hell, like Atlas Shrugged, huh?
Yeah.
Like you know what that is.
No idea. Who's Atlas Shrugged?
It's a laborious read novel by Ayn Rand.
Oh, well,
It's
of course I don't know what that is.
I've read it. It's a very... Some people think it's very influential. It's I don't know. I think it's easily 1,000 pages, and it could be boiled down to 6. And even then, it would be a laborious slog to read through.
Why? Why would you put yourself through that?
Well, because you got to know. I've read a lot of shit that you're supposed to read, and even though it's just like, wow, this is difficult. This is a dry read, and I'll just read it anyway. There's value in it. But it could have been like distilled and coalesced down to like X amount of pages instead of however many pages it was.
Right now, I have audiobooks. So what I do is I get audiobooks.
Oh, you'll be listening to Atlas Shrugged for a month.
No, not even close. So what I'll do is I'll find a book that I want to listen to, and then I'll take the speed and I'll move it to like 1.5, 1.7, and it's faster, and I can listen to it, and I can usually get through the book pretty quick. For some reason, and I don't know what it is, I cannot stay focused when I'm reading because I'm reading, and then all of a sudden it'll say, and he went to the ocean, and then they were out fishing, and I'm like, and I'm reading, and then all of a sudden I'm saying, oh, yeah, I remember that time I went fishing, and we did that. The next thing you know, I'm 2 pages later, I'm like, what the fuck? I got to go back and read this over again.
What did I miss? It depends on what you're reading and the topic, and it also depends on the author. I mean, if you've got an author that's a dry writer, that it makes reading very... I mean, there's books that I read, and sometimes I'm going along, and they just wander off the path, and I'm like, well, what are they driving at here? History... See, Atlas Shrugged is a novel. Okay. Basically is what it is.
I thought it was a boy band, but go ahead.
No, Atlas Shrugged is a novel, and it's very long, and it's a very laborious because if you don't know who Ayn Rand was... Her family was from Russia. I
thought it was a guy.
No, Ayn Rand was a woman, and she was not the best woman. She comes from she was a Russian. Her family was there when the communists took over. They took
the Democrats?
They took everything from them.
Okay.
Took everything from them. They fled the country with the clothes on their back. They wound up in Europe and eventually got to America. And she witnessed what communism does.
Right.
So for that aspect, there is value in Ayn Rand. However, as a novel writer, she goes on these long diatribes. There's like I don't know, it's like a 50-page there's literally a 50-page monologue. I'm not bullshit. It's probably a 50-page monologue by one of the protagonists in the book. And I was like, Jesus Christ.
So she's the Boomer Bob of Russian literature? Like Bob always, when he goes to tell you something.
Ayn Rand can only hope to be as brief as Boomer Bob.
Jesus.
She's got she's got diarrhea of the mouth, if ever there was one. It just keeps going and going. Now, history is different if you read history because there's going to be footnotes. There's going to be a bibliography. You're going to find out. That's why I enjoy history.
Okay.
Because it's real.
I understand.
It's not something made up. And it doesn't go on and on like the loaves and the fishes like Ayn Rand does in Atlas Shrugged.
Jesus. I can't believe we got onto this at the end.
Here's how bad Atlas Shrugged was. They made a movie of it.
Yes.
Okay. And it's as difficult as Lord of the Rings was to film. They had to do it in 3 parts because the book was that long. They did it in 2 parts, and there was a cast change in between.
People died.
Well, yeah, they might as well have had died. There was totally, so if you went and saw the first one.
I mean, the actors died in the middle of making it.
They actually had different, there was different actors portraying the same characters. Like, well, what the fuck happened to what the hell happened here?
I know.
And there was a different director. It just crashed and burned. So, and I think it's unfilmable.
Listen, I don't know how long I'm going to be on this planet. I have no idea. Could be 5 years. Could be this year. Who knows?
You'll probably outlive me.
I doubt it.
Go ahead, Diane, hit me.
So anyhow, so there's things that happen that I do now with technology so here's a perfect example. This is what happened today. That light right over there has a pull chain. There's something wrong with the pull chain. Instead of going to the hardware store, buying a new thing with a pull chain, and then just taking the 2 wires off and putting the 2 wires on there and be done.
How about a new light fixture that just works off the switch?
Oh, okay. But see, what happens is it's plugged in. It's plugged into the wall there. It's
hardwired.
It's hardwired, so there's no really place to do it. So so there's a wire goes across the ceiling, goes in, sticks in a plug. So I'm like, I could take that down, put a new thing in, probably take me, 15, 20 minutes, cost about $6. Not John. John goes to Amazon and buys these smart Wi-Fi switches. So now what I did was I got that light to come on, right, that plugs into that wall. I put one of these switches there so I can say, hey, Google, turn off the basement light. Hey, Google, turn on the basement light.
All right. Now, not to make you look foolish or anything, but what about 1980s technology? Clap on, clap off. You could have just bought the fucking clapper. Right? Joe has a buddy who's a legend, and when the clapper commercials were always playing, he wired his entire apartment up to the clapper. So he would walk in, clap his hand, and like every light would come on, the TV would come on, the stereo would come on. It's just like, because Glenn was too fucking busy to walk around turning on light switches.
I have 3 more of these things. I know exactly where they're going.
I would have went with the clapper.
No.
It's a lot more fun. And you burn calories.
So the funny thing is, upstairs I have a black fan. Mm-hmm. It's on a pedestal. Now
I noticed that the black fan isn't your number 1 fan.
It's not. So, so it has a remote control, or you know what I mean? So I have it set across the room. So I get into bed. The bed I have is one of those adjustable beds where the head comes up. So I got a remote control for that. I got a remote control for the fan, right, which is across the room. So I get up, I hit the fan, I hit this thing, and the light, I got to reach over and turn the light off.
Oh, what a burden.
Where do you think one of these are going?
Before we came here, and I had told you, hey, Diane might be coming along because we're going to be looking for new furniture. So we walk into the furniture store and it's all empty and everything. And we don't know where the bedroom sets are at until the sales associate pointed us in the right way. And there was one of those chairs that is up real high and tilts you out. And
Yes.
I said to Diane, yeah, you're a few years away from getting one of those. Well, Diane got furious and mad. I says, yeah, when you get old enough, you got to get one of those chairs that just dumps you on the fucking floor.
I want one. I want one for
You
upstairs.
got one of those floors?
No, I want one. I want. It's only like $600. I'm like, I gotta find one.
Only $600.
Yeah.
But the non-dumping you on the floor model might be $400, right?
You know, I remember back in the day, you used to pull the handle and the thing with the Barker Lounger, the thing would go out and the thing would come back. Mm-hmm. Not anymore. It plugs into the wall. You hit the button, the legs go out. The thing's back up again. It's got a thing where you can plug your phone into the side of it.
The sales associate got up and walked away at one point, and if she looked over, Diane and I were having a good old time at the table because we bought a bed for the guest room. And it has the drawer storage underneath. So you don't have to get because the room's kind of small. We got a full-size bed, and we wanted as much room and as much space in the room as possible. So it's Amish-made furniture. It's made out of solid wood. It's expensive, obviously. It's made in America. It's made by the Amish, solid wood, whatnot. And in one of the photos, they've got the drawer out with a pony standing in it. And the drawer is supporting this fucking pony. Okay. Now you have a choice. You can get one big, long-ass fucking drawer, or you can get two smaller drawers in that space. And you know the way my brain works. And I was like, now see, Diane, if we got the two separate drawers. And I said to Diane, now if we got the one long drawer, you could be sleeping in the drawer. And I could close you up inside the bed and be like getting an MRI. And Diane hates MRIs.
Oh.
So we're laughing and giggling, and the sales associates at the computer, like looking over, like, what's going on here? What's in that coffee he's drinking? What the hell's going on?
I'm telling you, I had to go for an MRI. So they put you in there. They put a mask over you so you can't see. So
Really?
I'm sitting there. Yeah.
Pussy.
I'm telling you. I'm very claustrophobic.
I fall asleep in there. It's
So
great.
wait, so now they're going to put me in. They got to put me in head first. I'm like, really? Do I got to go in head first? Can't we just kind of no head first? So I get in there. I'm breathing, and I can feel the breath bouncing off the ceiling, and it's hit me in the face. And I'm like, nope, let me out. And they're like, just calm down. You'll be all right. And I start thrashing around in there like a thrashing like a fucking grizzly bear. And I'm like, get me the fuck out of here. And they're like, okay, hold on. You're coming out. I come out. Arms are flailing, legs. I'm like, get me the fuck out of here. Oh my God. So they're like, well, okay, hold on. So now they have what they call,
this might not work for you.
they have what they call an open one, but that's not even that open, to be quite honest with you. No, they did it, but
compared to the other one, yeah.
Yeah, they said this isn't going to give you. They said this isn't going to give us as.
It's the difference between walking into your closet and walking into my closet. Her closet's larger than mine.
Of course it is.
Well, why not? Why wouldn't it be?
Right, exactly.
You know,
all right, so we're going to wrap this up here. Congratulations on 7 years. Glad you came back. I'm still, like I said, still enjoy doing this. I got to fight. Every time we do this, they say, can't Deuce do like every other week? I'm like, shh. When Deuce says he wants to do every other week, we'll do every other week.
As Lowell Stern and Crane said on Frasier, always leave them asking for more.
Exactly.
They might get tired of me if we did this weekly.
I don't know about that. I think.
I am fascinating.
Yeah. But I think we would have to basically dial in on what we really wanted to do with the show. And I don't think we have a plan for it yet, to be quite honest with you.
I don't know exactly what you would call this format. I don't know what you would call it.
I would say
as John would like to say, we're going to peel back the curtain a little bit. I just show the fuck up and we just start bullshitting, and that's pretty much it. John has a couple of topics he wants to talk about, and then I just respond to them, and that's pretty much it.
Yeah. Well,
there's no thought. It probably shows, I guess.
Deuce is a genius.
Oh,
all right,
thanks.
so basically what he did was, when the first 101 episodes, I ran it with an iron fist. Deuce is like, fuck you. That's it. I'm gone. And then he comes back, and now everything I do, I go, will Deuce be upset about this? Will Deuce want to talk? It's like I'm your bitch. I'm Deuce's bitch. Maybe that should be the title of this episode. Deuce's bitch.
Nah. Let's not do that. That shows up in Google searches for years.
Deuce's bitch.
Like if you ever type in techno bully on Google's images,
No. Are you kidding me?
go on Google,
Oh
type
my
in
God.
techno bully, and just go to images. And I think Joe came up with that term.
He did. Yes, he did.
You're a techno bully.
Anyway.
In fact, I think
There it is.
Joe came up with this.
I don't know what it is. I gotta plug this thing every time. And go to images. Wait a minute. All I see is a dog.
Really?
Techno bull. Is it all one word?
I don't know. I would just put in techno bully. The last time I looked up, it was littered with all my artwork from back in the day. That's techno bully.
It's not now.
Really?
Yeah. I don't
Maybe
know.
there's a statute of limitations on that
Yeah,
shit.
maybe they stopped.
Now I feel foolish.
I'm foolish. I'm glad. I'm glad there's no techno
Try
bull.
duck, go.
Oh, thank God. Techno, right? Techno?
Techno bully.
B-U-L-L-Y.
B-U-L-L-Y.
That's exactly what I have here.
You know what? Tie that in with Brand X.
All right. Let's try that. Brand X Techno Bully. Let's see what happens. Bingo! There it is.
It's a lot of artwork as John is techno bully.
Yes.
For those of you listening at home.
Oh, my goodness. Yes, it is. There's some pit bull there that it's a mastiff or something. Bull mastiff. It's huge. So
In my artwork or just popping up?
right. So there's the Brand X logo, and then there's Brand X podcast. Powerball madness comes to an end. Exposing the problem, social media trolls. John tries to rein in the crew.
There's one of Techno Bully climbing on top of a sex doll, I think.
Joe gets a new phone. Joe gets a smartphone. And then there's the end of Chinglish. More teaching banging students. Brows will kill you. So they're the ones I see so far. But anyhow,
There's a lot of Techno Bully art out there.
yes, there is. If you just go to brandxpodcast.com and go through there, you can see all the artwork. Excellent. All right. I think we're going to forgo the podcast shout outs.
Really? Yeah, I got them up here ready to go.
Oh, you do?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm sorry. I didn't realize you had them.
You're a bad podcast.
I'm a terrible podcaster. Now I can't fucking find them. What did I do with them?
If you are looking for some other great independent podcasts to check out, we highly recommend these podcasts. The Jason and Mindy podcast starring Jason and Mindy.
The Who's Right podcast with Doug and Anthony.
The Unwritable Rant with Juliet Miranda.
We just had Dave, the producer, on Rubberneckers last week.
Oh, yeah? I have to listen.
Yeah, it's going to...
Now I'll listen.
Okay.
Because you got to get Dave, the producer, involved. Now I'll listen.
All right. I Shake My Head with Lisa and Sam.
Steel Tone Morning Show with Aaron and April.
What, do I have the wrong one? Do I have the Pay Me No
It's the
Mind?
one you sent me the last time.
Okay. Married as Fuck with Randall and Brooke.
The Boomer Bunker with Bob and John.
Brilliant Observations with Jessica and Melissa.
Rubberneckers with John and the partner du jour, Jody.
Yes, right. Tonight we're recording and we have I don't remember the guy's name. I haven't met him yet. He's a comedian from the West Coast. He seems like he's a little more right-leaning than normal people that we would have
So
on.
he's a unicorn.
He's a unicorn.
Like a Nick DiPaolo type.
Kind of like a Nick DiPaolo. And we didn't even get into Steven Crowder shit. Holy mackerel. Wow. Well, if you listen to Rubberneckers, Jody, Dave, and I get into the whole Steven Crowder thing.
Okay.
So that's
Did that drop yet?
it will as soon as you get done, as soon as we get out of here. It's all
I
ready
was
to
going to say, well,
I ran out of time. I ran out of time. I didn't get a chance to get it done. It's been a very busy dude. When I lose a day, it's, I get
yeah,
backed
it's detrimental.
I get backed up like there's a cheese eating contest.
When I had my business and I would go on vacation, I would take off like 3 days just to go to a Corvette show. And I would come back and it was like 3 weeks of work to make up. And it made you wonder, like, was it worth it to take the time off just to come back to the work that you had to face?
I know. I used to say the same thing. All right, everybody. We'll be back next month. Thank you for listening once again. And we'll see you next month.
Adios, bitches.
Eat my fart box.
Will you shut the fuck up so I can end the recording?
That's it. We're just getting into it.